only been one out of 17 objects that didn't have any scientific interest. Now, that's an unbelievable statistic. Part of that, I believe, is the effort that we make to investigate these cases before we ever do a surgery.
Give me your overall perspective on what you think these are and why they're in people.
Well, I think from what we've learned so far, extremely advanced electronic communication devices which are relating information to someone somewhere that probably put them in, and it has something to do with the function of the human body, probably down to the DNA.
Is the information about the specifics of the person that's carrying the implant, or is it about their environment? What are they sending back?
Well, we haven't deciphered the information. We haven't gotten there yet. We found that a certain number of these objects are putting out radio waves. And in one of the cases, we find that this is a radio wave in the FM band, and I got a secure chart from the FCC. It turned out to be a deep space fixed or mobile communication frequency. Now, it brings the question to mind, why would an advanced civilization use a radio wave for anything? An advanced civilization is not going to be operating with radio waves. So that only lets me believe that perhaps somebody else is piggybacking or listening to this same information. But if you want to know why, it's safe for me to render an opinion. I think that the human race is being genetically manipulated. And this may not be the first time in man's history, because if you look at the historical record of man and the changes that have occurred, you might say that this has happened previously. There is external influence on mankind, and I think that the objects that individuals have implanted in them are for the benefit of mankind. Like I say, I could be a cockeyed optimist, but I can't see any other reason.
Let's bring in Bob Kuhns. You're a PhD. You're a nuclear physicist.
It appears to me that there's an extraterrestrial civilization or entities who are placing in individuals objects, which we call implants. It's a strange material, small pieces of iron, cobalt, nickel, and a large amount of iridium. Iridium is normally only found in meteorites, but it's got a larger amount of iridium than we would find in a meteorite, and they're placing it in individuals in this country and perhaps around the world as well. And it's also got a surface coating on it that's very strange that appears to be sensitive to sound. It looks like it's a device that's designed to intercept sound waves and retransmit them. They appear to self-organize. You break these implants up, George, listen to this. They reassemble. Now, if you break them, today I broke a big magnet. A magnet will not reassemble, but these devices reassemble. Self-reassembly. That's intelligent material. We're talking about programming intelligence into materials. There are carbon nanotubes in these devices, and we don't find carbon nanotubes in nature.
And the carbon nanotube is very simply described as a structure of carbon in which the atoms are lined up in a particular form so that it adds tremendous strength.
Up next, joining us will be Steve Colburn. He's a chemist material scientist with 20 years of industrial experience.
I've analyzed extensively the last two objects from surgeries number 15 and 16, and we found some very startling things. We found nerve cells connected to the devices, as Rogers found in the past, and we found that the objects have a coating on them similar to a biological hard part like shell or bone, and that might be partly responsible for the lack of an immune response that we see to these objects in the body, and that's extremely unusual. Both these objects also had strong magnetic fields of over 10 milligauss.
Do the objects look organic, or are they all artificial? What the heck are they?
Well, they seem to be a combination of both. The main bodies of the devices are mostly composed of iron, at least in all the objects that I've analyzed so far. The John Smith object was definitely meteoric iron. The trace element pattern matched exactly that of a class of nickel-iron meteorites called hexahedrites. The material was apparently not from our solar system because, like Bob pointed out, the isotopic ratios were quite skewed compared to what is found on Earth or in our solar neighborhood.
Could we duplicate this implant today, Steve, if we gave it to a scientist?
I would have to say no to that. I think that even the Black Project military community could not duplicate it or would have major problems even attempting to duplicate something like this.